Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar about Vocarium AI Labs. So thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule. So first of all, a little bit about the agenda. I'm going to go ahead and give you first of all, my name is Sanjay Srivastava. I'm the founder and CEO of Vocarium, and I'm going to go through a 15-minute overview of Vocarium. So essentially, this is basically targeted at the audience if you're not familiar with Vocarium at all. So, and for some of you, it might be a little repetitive. And then Peter Kim, who is our senior software engineer, he's going to go ahead and do a demo for which should take 20 to 25 minutes. And then we'll have Q&A. And there are some of us on the webinar. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and during the webinar, you can go ahead and ask it using the chat functionality or Q&A, and we'll try to get to you as soon as possible. So with that, just a little bit about Vocarium and our mission. So our mission is to deliver cloud resources for learning AI data and cloud skills. So one of the big changes we believe that needs to happen in education is that no longer it is sufficient for the learners to have access to tools only on their laptops, and often not even in your university data centers. So you have to deliver, cloud resources. And delivering cloud resources comes with its own challenges. One of the big one is that these are metered, so you have to make sure that the learner gets access to the budget stays under control. Often you have to worry about implement a cloud. You have to build a user management layer, and sometimes you have to integrate your IT systems or your learning management systems. So that's what Vocarium's mission is, to provide, to do everything possible to make it really easy to deliver cloud resources to the learners. So what do we mean by cloud resources? First of all, the way we deliver these cloud resources are roughly through these four sort of product categories. The one which we are going to talk about mostly today is our Vocarium AI notebook. This notebook is targeted for teaching AI. And then we have a fairly large deployment of account management for AWS, Azure, and GCP, especially AWS. So there you can deliver managed AWS resources to the learner, or Azure or GCP. So you can specify the budget, you can specify the policies, and especially for the topic of learning AI, I mean, there are obviously very sophisticated resources like AWS SageMaker, which are being used, or Bedrock, that are being used for learning and deploying AI. Then the third component is infrastructure for delivering managed Gen AI access. So this is a little bit of a new request that we are seeing from our customers. They are saying that we just want to deliver to our population a way to access Gen AI. So we just care about how do we deliver $10 worth of OpenAI, or $20 worth of maybe an Anthropic resource. And the integration point might be through a LMS, which we'll talk about a lot, or it might be your IT system like maybe ServiceNow. And then there are a lot of experiments being done to deliver AI models, for example, a virtual tutor, and how do you deploy it once again, especially in the light of the fact that someone has to worry about managing budget. And then the last one is cyber range, which we will not go into today. So once again, when we say deploying Vocarium AI, there are several contexts in which our tools are used. The first and obvious one is like if you're learning how to train or fine-tune using GPUs. So typically, and this will have some demos, typically you need a local GPU, and they're learning how to run some sort of ML framework. Then the next one, in the first one, the major cloud resource that we are delivering is notebooks and GPUs. The second one is where you're building model using web services, let's say like especially OpenAI these days. So how do you make sure that if you're building the model, you can get access to OpenAI credentials, which you can use in your model development. So once again, we should have a demo. The third one is delivering budgeted credentials, and this is something which I was I just alluded to earlier that we are beginning to see more and more requests where universities just want to make sure that that the students and the staff and the teachers, they all have access to some budgeted credentials. The alternative is everyone putting their own credit card in, and there's no central management. And the last portion is deploying custom models. So once again, this is unique for the AI. Maybe someone wants to deploy a virtual tutor, and how do you, again, deploy it, make sure that the right people get access, and also they have access, they have stayed within the budget. As you can see, I'm saying the budget quite a bit because that is one of the central value that we provide. So when we say cloud resources, I think I've gone through it, but this is sort of a list of what are the cloud resources we can deliver for data and AI education. GPUs, I already mentioned that OpenAI. One of the things which we did recently for a customer, when they have a custom Llama 2 model, which was deployed in their own data centers, and they wanted to provide access. AWS, Azure, and GCP, I just mentioned that. These are, once again, access to managed cloud resources. So for example, AWS case, you can say we can provide a linked account to every learner, and as an educator, you can constrain it by budgets and policies, and even some more sort of constraints you can put in just to make sure that the budget doesn't get out of control. Databricks, so we announced a significant partnership with Databricks, so we can deliver Databricks once again, similarly a managed Databricks environment. And the last bit is, as I was mentioning early on, we just did it recently, that we can provide APIs for converting Gen AI tokens with budget, and then these APIs can be delivered to and there's different integration points that we are being asked. For example, ServiceNow on the back end, or integration to not through LMS, but maybe also through an university's Shibboleth or some other authentication system. In terms of our roadmap, we will focus a lot on providing more and more models. Yesterday was exciting. We saw the Gemini announcement from Google, so we'll be looking at it very quickly. And also Bedrock, Anthropic, Cohere, Stability AI, and custom Llama 2 models. We expect to see more and more of those, as well as focusing on how do you deploy these custom models in various use cases. So let's just focus on the primary product that we'll be talking about today, which is our there's AI twice. Sorry about that. I guess AI is in all our minds these days. Why Vocarium AI notebook? It can deliver budgeted GPU as a part of the notebook, Gen AI budgets, integration with LTI. So, and we will show that where you can access all these resources just from your LMS. You can custom Docker image. So often we'll provide a Docker image, but one of the challenges that as an educator, you might want to have different version or different packages. You can do that very easily. The work area is persistence. As a user comes back, they can continue to work on it over a period of days or weeks. Big focus, because of our education focus, is on auto grading. So how do you grade? How do you do assessment, or maybe auto graded code comments, and maybe other sort of grading infrastructures that you can use as a part of AI notebook, for example, like leaderboards for some gamification or peer reviews. Can provide a flexible interface. So this is, once again, we just don't want to, so right now from an interface perspective, you can use maybe a familiar Jupyter Lab, or you can use our Vocarium notebook. And something which you had to add specifically is prompt cell type for testing deployment. So not only you want to develop the model, but you want to maybe quickly test it, what a custom chatbot will look like to the user. So you can do that as a part of your integrated in your development environment. Just a little bit about our broader product. We do operate at scale. So I think, we have more than 3 million learners. This is data from beginning of the year, 12,000 live courses. We start tens of thousands of labs every day. and millions of students are submitting their assignments for assessment every month. Where our learners come from, so we have direct relationship with universities, academic departments. We have agreement with edtech platforms like Udemy, Udacity, Simplilearn, edX, Coursera, Emeritus, Moodle, etc. We have by far our largest partnership has been with AWS Education Group, which delivers programs like AWS Academy and Educate, which is which we are very, very proud to provide labs for. We have companies like Databricks that utilize our lab infrastructure, and then we have a fair amount of university extension relationships. So this is one, as I mentioned, we are very proud of this, our partnership with AWS Education, especially the AWS Academy. They announced that they hit 1 million learners in thousands of 6,600 active institutions and tens of thousands of 25,000 active instructors globally. So this is we provide the labs for this program. In terms of AI, one of the very, very early courses which was launched by the SageMaker team on the deep learning for generative AI with large language models. And just to start summarizing, one of the core capabilities that we provide is budget management. This is once again, this is a unique problem that that must be addressed if you're going to provide cloud resources to the learners, because either you are going to ask them to use their own credit card to put the accounts in, which sometimes is unworkable. But also, even if they do that, you have to worry about making sure that everything stays within budget. So every university has some sort of a cloud nightmare story where someone left a GPU running for days, and there were thousands of dollars of unexpected bill that showed up. And integration with learner environment. So we do believe that all the labs that we provide have to be delivered in the context of learning. So there are a lot of integration possibilities. One of them, the obvious one, is LTI, which will show it, but also APIs. For example, that something that you can deploy if you have your own sort of edtech tool. Persistent work area. Everything that we do, we have to make sure that the learner can come back and sort of continue to work on it. There is a pretty sophisticated analytics, and we are spending even more and more energy that we delivered. So one of the ways is we'll deliver analytics is through what we call our data pipeline, where every day we will dump a whole bunch of information about the student activity, which you can provide access to, so that you can ingest in your own data warehouse and take it for your own analytics flow, but also will provide our dashboards and our visualization. And because of our focus on higher ed, there's a fair amount of investment in assessment and collaboration features. Here are some of the platforms that we are integrated with. I think I already talked about AWS Academy, Educate, Databricks, Emeritus, edX, Great Learning, Udacity, Udemy, and lots of tools like and I think we'll be doing our demo through Canvas, but we are integrated with other LMS tools like D2L and Blackboard. And so at this point, what I would like to do is I would like to stop sharing and hand it to Peter for the demo.
Okay, thanks, Sanjay. Hi, everyone. My name is Peter Kim, and today I'll be demonstrating how Vocarium is meeting the industry's AI demands with our cloud solutions. Generative AI is an amazing tool that anyone, regardless of technical background, can take advantage of. However, everyone that we talk to who's trying to teach AI at scale seems to be hitting the same roadblocks. These include allocating resources, managing budgets, and integrating with an LMS. So for this demonstration, I'm going to be showcasing the power of our Vocarium notebook, the AI notebook that Sanjay's been talking about. And this is our custom IDE that we've developed to make the experience of teaching and learning AI as easy as possible. I'm going to be going over some sample assignments that I've created that highlight 3 of the services that we provide to help manage AI resources in the classroom. These are budgeted OpenAI keys, budgeted GPU resources, as well as auto-graded assignments with grade passback to your LMS. For OpenAI in particular, I have examples that showcase our support for chat completion, embeddings, as well as image generation. Please feel free to ask any questions in the chat, and we'll make sure to get to them for the Q&A section afterwards. So with that, let's jump straight in with Vocarium Notebook. So, let me give a few more details on what Vocarium Notebook is. So as I mentioned, it's our completely custom, built from the ground up IDE, specifically designed to enhance the experience of learning AI. Just like Jupyter Notebook, it can open and execute notebook files, but we have added our own enhancements specifically for GPU and OpenAI use. Now, if you've tried to deliver OpenAI at scale, then you're faced with a hard choice. Do you ask every user to create their own OpenAI account and API key, or do you provide unrestricted access to your organization's own key? We at Vocarium saw this issue, and we decided to come up with our own solution. We've created our own API endpoint that accepts a unique key Vocarium generates for every student. And this Vocarium key that we passed along as an environment variable to our labs will then keep track of the tokens spent in order to calculate the user's remaining budget. We currently support chat completion, embeddings, image generation, and Azure OpenAI. All we need from your organization is an OpenAI key that you share with us. Or if you've developed your own custom endpoint that works with OpenAI, we can work with your organization to add our budgeting controls on top of it. So what's really cool about Vocarium Notebook is that there's no need to pass any additional arguments to functions or configure environment variables when using the OpenAI package. You can import your existing notebooks and everything should work right out of the box. Our lab environment already has all of the most popular AI ML packages pre-installed, so there's no need to make the learner install package requirements every time they access the lab. If there's a package that you'd like to add that we don't currently have, our container architecture makes it super easy to make your own lab environments using our image as a base. So with this example, I'm going to go ahead and import the required packages. So quickly launch the kernel. Okay, I'm going to define the helper function that feeds our prompt and gets the response. And so first, let me go over what you might see here. So right here, we have what we call the prompt cell type. Just like any other Jupyter cell type, the prompt cell is added by creating a new cell and then changing the type to prompt. So here you can see the other cell types that you would traditionally see in Jupyter. Now, unlike other cell types, however, one of the features of the prompt cell is that it allows you to directly communicate with OpenAI without starting a notebook kernel. So using this prompt cell, I'm going to go ahead and ask it to give me some tips on how to write a good prompt. Now you can specify the model that you want to use, as well as a couple other settings, such as the temperature, the top P. I'm going to be using 3.5 turbo for this example. And for the sake of time, as that's running, I have 2 examples of a good prompt versus a bad prompt. So a bad prompt being, AI in healthcare. Then a good prompt being, can you explain how artificial intelligence is being used to improve diagnostics and treatments in the field of healthcare? So here's the bad prompt. And while it's running, I want to draw everyone's attention to the bottom left here. So we have an OpenAI icon. And if I click it, we can see a dollar value. So that dollar value represents the remaining budget that the user has for the assignment. And up here, you can see budget used as well as any total and budget remaining. And the cool thing is that everything here is updating in real time as soon as a response from OpenAI is received. So let me just show that off one more time. So I'm going to run this prompt. You can see that we've used about 2 cents.
That's pretty slow. Are we using GPT-4 or 3.5? Okay.
3.5. But yeah, you can see that, again, the budget was updated in real time. So we're always giving the user accurate information about their usage. And I just want to clarify here that the response that we're getting here is the same as if one asked ChatGPT directly. All we're doing is serving as the middleman, generating the API keys and keeping track of the budgets. And as a bonus example, I just want to quickly show that we support image generation as well. So I don't know if anyone has seen two dogs play chess. I haven't, but thanks to the power of DALL-E, we don't have to leave it up to our imagination. So I'm going to send it a prompt, two dogs playing chess, oil painting, because why not? And yeah, here we go. You can see the image is loaded. Once again, the budget was updated. So that is the prompt engineering example. The next example I have is going to use LangChain as well as embeddings to train a sophisticated model hosted by OpenAI. So for those unfamiliar, LangChain is a super powerful framework that connects powerful LLMs, such as those from OpenAI, with other external components to create LLM-powered applications. For this example, I'm combining GPT 3.5 with Meta's FISSS to train a model on the entire text of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So again, I'm going to import the required packages, have the functions to read my text, and then I'm going to get the text, split it into chunks, and then create embeddings from it. And finally, gonna ask my model that I've created a question. So who is Huckleberry Finn? Huckleberry Finn is the son of the town drunkard in the village, etc., etc. So, this is it, because the model is, I believe 3.5 GPT. It's very sophisticated, and it's very easy to train custom texts using it. Now, once again, you can see the prompt cell type here, but I'm using it a bit differently now. So rather than sending the prompt to OpenAI directly, the prompt cell type is instead being used to execute a notebook function. So here, I am using the function name that I've defined here. And rather than sending it to OpenAI, I'm going to just use it to kind of directly converse with my model. So I can ask it anything about the book. So when see if it knows this one. So yeah, it's taking information from the text and then giving very human-like responses. And we're still working on the prompt cell. One of the things that we're planning on adding next is to have a chat history so that it's kind of more like the ChatGPT experience that you would expect. But I think it really showcases the ability to kind of take a model and then share it and then interact with it. So for any of you interested in teaching prompt engineering, image generation, or embeddings, we believe that Vocarium Notebook is the perfect tool because of its simplicity and ease of use. So the next example I have, this is going to demonstrate our GPU integration. So for GPUs, the challenge has always revolved around cost. We know that GPUs are expensive, so how do you ensure that they're being efficiently used and that someone isn't keeping a machine running while being idle? Yet the immense increase of performance that they offer means that that they are a necessity for teaching and learning AI. So at Vocarium, we tackle this problem by separating out the presentation from the execution. Here's what I mean. So normally when you use the Vocarium Notebook IDE, everything here is being rendered by the web server, so there's no container being started. But if you do run a kernel, if you do start a kernel, we've been launching it on a machine CPU. The machine doesn't even have a GPU on it most of the time. But if you want to run some code that requires a GPU, with just one click, you can schedule a batch job using this run training button, which will take the currently selected notebook and then execute it on our GPU servers. When there are jobs in the queue, we're going to launch more servers to meet demand, and as soon as the queue is empty, we terminate them. This way, we're able to deliver GPU resources while minimizing cost, all while giving the user freedom to work on anything that does not require a GPU. And those of you concerned with potential abuse and crypto mining, we're very conscious about these issues and have implemented strict controls around GPU memory consumption and timeout limits on job duration, all in addition to individual budgets set by the instructor. So for this example, I have two notebooks, one for training a model and another for performing inference. So unlike the previous example, the model that we're going to be training is GPT-2, and we're actually going to download the entire model. So it's not as powerful, but it's also it's also not hosted by OpenAI. So although I could combine the two notebooks into one, by splitting them up this way, I can perform the training on the GPU. And once the model has been created, I can then run inference using the CPU. Now, a little bit about myself. Growing up, I was a big Harry Potter fan, and I've read all the books and seen all the movies. And I wanted to combine my love for Harry Potter with AI by fine-tuning a GPT-2 model on around 500 Harry Potter trivia questions. Once the training is finished, I'm going to ask it a couple prompts to verify that the training was successful. So in this training file, once again, I have my imports. I read the text from the text directory, define training functions, and then save the model to the work area. So I'm going to run the training using this button here. You can see a pop-up saying it's been added to the queue. Now the job has been picked up by a server and is currently running. So this is expected to take a few minutes. So for the sake of time, I've already run a training and I have the files created here. So this notebook I have is the inference notebook. And using the model that we previously created, we're going to load all the tokens and then generate output using that model. So I have a couple questions that I'm going to ask it. First being, what is a thestral? And the second being, name a Quidditch position. So I'm going to run all of these cells now. Once again, in the bottom left, you'll see this time a GPU icon, similar to the OpenAI one. It has a budget for the user. This time it's in time, so I have 40 minutes remaining. And yeah, once again, clicking on it gives a few more details about budgets, how much you've used, how much is remaining. And once again, this will also update in real time, as the job finishes. At the top bar, we have an LED indicator showing the status of the batch servers. You've already seen the pop-ups in the bottom right, notifying me every time there's a change in the job status. So going back to the notebook, we see that it's been executed. So what is a thestral? Ascension species of magical horse. Name a Quidditch position, seeker. So yeah, I can confirm that these answers are correct. So for this example,
Hey, Peter, there was a question that how do we, can you show the code on how we're targeting GPU versus CPU? That was maybe while we're here.
yeah, so if you so the open so the model that we're using, transformers, the package, it can, so TensorFlow and PyTorch can generally detect if you have CUDA on your machine, so it'll run different functions based on whether or not it can detect that the machine has a GPU on it. So the code will be the same. It'll just execute slower if you have no GPU on the machine. For these examples, though, we do have a GPU on the machine running, which is I can show here, called NVIDIA SMI. So we have a 24 gigabyte machine that we're using for this example. Now, sometimes you need something a little more, a fully fledged IDE. Maybe you need a terminal, maybe you need more advanced controls such as setting a kernel and such. So one cool thing that we've recently implemented is the ability to open your lab environment in a different application. So right now we have Jupyter Lab. Jupyter Lab is a IDE that basically, it has a terminal, it has a file tree and such. And what we can do is we can just open it right here inside the notebook. And this is for if you need something a bit more powerful, but we can support other applications being run within the notebook environment. We have plans to add VS Code as well. And so that is the GPU example. Now, if you're an instructor, providing access to resources like OpenAI and GPU is a great way to facilitate learning using real industry standard tools. But what really seems to get instructors excited is how easy it is to integrate Vocarium with an LMS of your choice. Whether it be Canvas or Blackboard, all you need to do is drop in our LTI link. There's no need for the user to log in or create an account separately on our platform. And we support all the features that come with LTI 1.1 and 1.3. We've even added our own additions such as role-based access, roster syncing, and support for multiple LMS courses linking to a single Vocarium course. So what may be our most loved feature, however, is auto grading. At Vocarium, we want to make the grading process as simple as can be. And to do that, we've added custom auto grading cells right inside the Jupyter notebook. In this notebook here, I've already set up the auto grading cells as an instructor. So this notebook is a very simple notebook that just goes over how loops work in Python. And as an instructor, I've already set up the auto grading cells. And here you can see that this is where the student is expected to put in their answers. So I've already put in the expected response for this cell. It's asking us to square an array or a list of numbers. So I'm going to click the submit button and let's see what happens. So after just a few seconds, I get feedback inserted directly into the notebook. And as we can see, there's a side panel that opens up where I can see all of my grades, as well as additional submission information, such as how many times I've submitted, the last time I submitted. And as to be expected, I got the first question correct, the one that I answered. But of course, since I didn't actually change anything else, the rest of my scores will be 0. Now, the really cool thing is, now if I go to grades, so here you can see that the results of the auto grading were passed back to Canvas. the gradebook items were automatically created. And this just makes it really easy to take pressure off from the instructor in setting up auto grading as well as integrating with an LMS and such. So one final example I wanted to show is our Vocarium Sandbox. So Sanjay mentioned this briefly, but Vocarium Sandbox is kind of what we envision to be a place where instructors can share and deploy models to be used within their organization or for students. So I have an example here, the OpenAI Playground. So what we have here is a pure HTML file, basically a README that we're showing to the user. Now, the purpose of this is, one is to again share models if we wanted, but what we've done is we've created our own JavaScript library that provides access to the same budgeting features that can be used with an OpenAI key that generates the key and such. So this is for users that maybe aren't programmers at all. It's even simpler than Vocarium Notebook, and or if you want to build your own custom UI because it's pure HTML and JavaScript, you have complete freedom on how you want to design the UI and how you want to deliver it. All you need to do is drop in a source that has our JavaScript library. So what I've created here is it was done very quickly using Bootstrap. And I've just added the JavaScript library, and here we have a send prompt button that takes the input and can spit out an output. Need to use labs, sorry. Send the prompts, you get the response back. And it can be, you can set the temperature, top P, the model. You can even select the default text that you want to have here if you want it to be pre-filled out. And again, because all we're providing is a JavaScript file, and we can also provide this template to be used and dropped into any assignment or Canvas page. There's a lot of freedom for the instructor to kind of come up with whatever they want, and we're excited to see what users will come up with. So with that, that's going to conclude my portion of the demo. I hope everyone's excited as we are in finding new ways to deliver AI to both educators and students alike.